We've been testing Best Student Laptops 2024, digging deep into the latest flavors of AMD processor and NVIDIA graphics silicon. And we know which notebooks sing and which are just tone deaf. We're not just talking about sleek, expensive new machines either. We've picked a range of student laptops 2024 at different price points to highlight, which give you the best bang for buck and which are just outright awesome. To help you find the right model, we've listed the top Best Student Laptops 2024 and their key features, plus the things you need to consider to help you choose the best one for you. And as always, you can check pricing for any of these products in the description below. Like the video, comment, and don't forget to subscribe. Now let's get started. Number 5. Lenovo Yoga Pro 9i16. Lenovo is aiming for the crown in the category of 16-inch multimedia laptops with its new Yoga Pro 9i16. Its trump card is supposed to be the high-resolution and bright mini LED panel. However, there are unusual weaknesses in the build quality, and in contrast to the 14-inch model, features such as Advanced Optimus are missing. Having looked closely at the 14-inch version of the new Lenovo Yoga Pro 9i, we now take a look at the 16-inch version. The tech specs, apart from the size, are fundamentally identical, as a 3.2K mini LED touchscreen with 165Hz and Adobe RGB coverage is also used here. Under the hood are the latest Raptor Lake H CPUs from Intel and NVIDIA GPUs ranging from the RTX 4050 to the RTX 4070. In detail, however, there are some differences, which we also take a look at. Our test device is the 83x0016G model and is priced at EUR 2,399. Translators note: models in the US are considerably cheaper. See price and availability at the end of this review. With a 3.2K mini LED panel, 165Hz, a Core i7 processor, a GeForce RTX 4060, 16GB LPDDR5X 6400 RAM, and a 1TB PCI 4.0 SSD. We were also able to run some benchmarks on a more powerful configuration, Core i9 RTX 4070 laptop, 64GB RAM. Number 4. Asus Chromebook Plus CX34. Chromebooks have enjoyed a sizable footprint in the laptop world for several years, but Google has just upped its game. The Asus Chromebook Plus CX34, $399, is one of the cheaper systems in a batch of new so-called Chromebook Plus models that are included in Google's latest push to improve Chromebooks. The CX34 and other Plus systems all meet basic hardware spec requirements for better features and performance across the board than most Chrome OS laptops have delivered, like bigger, brighter 1080p displays, increased RAM allotments, and a revamped version of the Chrome OS software. But the Asus Chromebook Plus CX34 impressed us by including all of these features at an extremely affordable price. In a season that's seen many manufacturers jack up prices for minimal improvement, the new Chromebooks look like that much a better value, and this one earns our editor's choice nomination for budget Chromebooks. Our $399 test unit is the Asus Chromebook Plus CX34, which comes with an Intel Core i3 1215U processor, which may be a little older, but is more powerful than the MediaTek and Celeron chips used in most low-cost Chromebooks. This is paired with 8GB of RAM. Prior to the Chromebook Plus shift, that was the maximum memory you would find in most Chromebooks, and a 128GB US storage drive. That's not the usual eMMC, which is essentially a flashcard memory module used as primary storage, but it's similar. Universal Flash Storage UFS is optimized for low-power devices. It's usually used in phones, but isn't mainstream in laptops yet. More expensive models include processors up to Intel Core i7, storage of 256GB or 512GB as full SSDs, and a bump up to 16GB of RAM, but specific pricing details have not been released at the time of this writing. The Chromebook Plus moniker includes lots of features that haven't been common on affordable Chromebooks before now. Top among these is the 14-inch HHD IPS panel. An IPS tech or better screen is part of the Chromebook Plus mandate. Asus surrounds the screen with a bezel that's narrow on 3 sides, making for a pleasant-looking display even compared to some more premium competitors. While Asus sells a touch version of the CX34, this $399 unit has no touch capability, so it's all keyboard and touchpad for this model. Number 3. Apple MacBook Air M2. The new MacBook Air borrows a lot of its design and shape from the MacBook Pro 14 and 16 that debuted late last year. It's symmetrical and squared off, with a more brutalist presentation than prior MacBook Air models. It's remarkably thin, just a smidge over 11 millimeters, and that thinness is immediately noticeable when you open the lid and start typing on it. It's also noticed whenever you slot it into a bag or carry it around. The older MacBook Air's tapered shape had less visual weight and may look thinner, but the new model is indeed slimmer than its predecessor. It's also slightly lighter, at 2.7 pounds versus the older model's 2.8. That's not a huge difference, and the Air is far from the lightest computer you can buy, but it does make it extremely portable and easy to tote around wherever I need it. In all, I'm a fan of this new design. It's modern and refreshing and functionally works very well. Some might miss the wedge shape, but I'm not one of them. This new Air is a beautiful computer, and I think this design will work well for the next 5 or possibly more years or so until Apple updates it again. Unless you get the new midnight color. This new color is gorgeous out of the box with a deep blue-black finish that can change depending on the light, but as soon as you pick it up, it gets covered in greasy fingerprints that are a chore to clean off. It really mars what is otherwise a striking finish. Apple's far from the only company to face this problem with dark aluminum. Razer's laptops have been fingerprint magnets for years, but it's enough of an issue that I wouldn't buy the midnight model. I'd also had the opportunity to test a model in the silvery gold starlight color, and its surface stays fingerprint. Number 2. Microsoft Surface Laptop Go 2. Microsoft has populated just about every potential price and size point in the Surface line. The original Surface Laptop Go, as its name implied, combined the DNA of the Petite Surface Go detachable and the traditional Surface laptop. Smaller than the latter, this portability-first laptop targets everyday productivity users on the go. The first thing you notice about our review unit, though it's less visible in our photos than in person, is the lovely new sage green color. A pale shade of green is very pleasing to the eye, stands out from the crowd, and adds some style to a machine you'll be seen carrying out and about. One of 4 color options, the others are ice blue, sandstone, and platinum. It's quite Apple-like in style, as the Surface devices have always represented Windows alternatives to the MacBook and iPad concepts. Physically, the Surface Laptop Go 2 measures 0.62 by 11 by 8.1 inches and weighs 2.48 pounds, just as slim and portable as the original. The same premium aluminum is used on the lid, promoting the MacBook feel, though as an economy notebook, the system isn't all metal. The base mixes aluminum and polycarbonate composite resin with glass fiber, 30% of which is post-consumer recycled material. Number 1. Apple MacBook Air 15-inch. There is no reason that Apple needed to wait this long, but it is releasing this model now, following many months that were slow for the company and much slower for the industry at large. Apple, over the last 2 quarters, reported the sharpest year-over-year percentage decline in Mac revenue that we've seen in half a decade. If there were ever a time that laptop companies needed to inject the market with some pizzazz, it's today right now. In the Windows space, PC makers are making a flashy pivot to services. Artificial intelligence is being shoved down consumers' throats. New models are shipping with a laundry list of webcam beautification features and tools that keep your eyes in one place. Dell made an invisible touchpad. Lenovo's doing funky things with e-ink and dual screens. HP hardwired a customer service button to its flagship product, rebranding itself from a PC company to a solution provider. Asus is, well, it's doing various things over there. Amazon is trying to make ChatGPT. His most recent MacBook I reviewed was the 16-inch MacBook Pro. That was a model where nothing was new with the chassis and everything was new with the chip. On paper, this MacBook Air 15 is the opposite. The chip is a known quantity. It's the M2. The same one that lives in the 13-inch MacBook Air and the 13-inch MacBook Pro. In fact, the model I have 8-core CPU, 10-core GPU, 16 gigabytes memory, 512 gigabytes storage, $1,699, is basically the same configuration we received for our review of the 13-inch model, with twice the memory, thrown into a bigger chassis. Prior to the Air 15, if you wanted a MacBook with an appreciably larger display, you'd have to pay a $1,000 premium and get a thicker, much heavier computer. But if you now spec the 13-inch and 15-inch devices identically, the larger one commands around a $100 premium. The chip is not different, the chassis is different.